Welcome
to the
Dark
Ages.
I'm Haley.
I'm Leah.
I'm Sadie.
I'm Molly.
The Dark Ages began because of the fall of the Roman Empire.
The Dark Ages is a term for the early Middle Ages and is marked by economic, intellectual, and cultural decline.
Francesco Petrarca was the first person to coin the term Dark Ages. He was an Italian scholar of the 14th century. He called it the Dark Ages because of the lack of good literature.
The timeline falls between the fall of the Roman Empire and the Renaissance. Another reason it was called the Dark Ages is because of the lack of scientific and cultural advancement.
Some of the negative effects of the Dark Ages were harsh life, limited diet, and little comfort.
Women were in charge of the household and were subordinate to men in both noble and peasant classes.
Children had a 50% survival rate after they turned 1 and started contributing to the family life around age 12.
Towns no longer built new stone structures, and in places like Rome, the decline of structures such as aqueducts had an effect on quality of life.
Another thing that negatively affected the Dark Ages was the bubonic plague, and this affected the quality of life tremendously.
The Black Death was a bubonic plague pandemic occurring in Afro-Eurasia from 1346 to 1353.
Sanitation was very bad in cities.
Chamber pots were used by people to use the bathroom overnight. These collected waste. Here's a demonstration.
Gardler was a warning when they threw slobs from the windows.
Muckrakers were hired to help keep the streets walkable. Hey, I'm a bus driver. Can I get hired?
Sure, go keep our streets clean.
It is the most fatal pandemic recorded in history, causing the death of up to 200 million people in Eurasia and North America.
Very large number of plague victims were buried in mass graves.
Plague ended through the implementation of quarantines!
Some of the positive effects were an end to feudalism, increased wages, and innovation.
Also, the idea of separation between church and state, and the attention to hygiene and medicine.
Universities were born in parts of Europe such as France and Italy.
New types of agriculture were developed, including crop rotation, heavy plow, and horse color.
Some of the positive effects were literature expanding in the Dark Ages. Here are some examples.
The genres in the Dark Ages were love and romance, and types of poetry like lyric, ballads, and hymns.
Some examples of literature in the Dark Ages were the Iliad and Odyssey.
Poetry works were originally composed in Latin, but poets began writing in vernacular.
Learning and literature were highly valued and encouraged in many early Middle Age kingdoms.
2.
The most widely circulated educational work during this time was Isidore's Etymology.
There were also many technological advances. Here are some examples.
Some new advances were gunpowder, vertical windmills, spectacles, mechanical clocks, and water mills.
Building techniques like Gothic architecture and medieval castles were created.
The spinning wheel was created and it transformed the production of yarn.
This increased productivity and led to the medieval textile industry.
Even though the textile industry helped the economy, it polluted the environment.
It polluted the air, which hurt the birds. Here's a demonstration.
Everybody's heard about the bird. Bird, bird, bird. The bird's the word. I will a bird, bird, bird. Bird is the word. I will a bird, bird, bird. Well, the bird is the word. I will a bird, bird, bird. The bird's the word. I will a bird, bird, bird.
Towards the end of the Dark Ages, many things happened, such as Western Europe became politically unstable and populations collapsed.
There were wars.
There was no food, which caused famine.
It also caused diseases. The average life expectancy was 30 years old. Today, about 90% of Greek and Roman knowledge was forever lost in the Dark Ages. One way the bubonic plague was spread was from rats with fleas on them, like this one. Come here. Oh no, the fleas!
The bubonic plague was also spread through trade routes.
Victims often died with 12 hours of being bitten. It was also spread through close contact, from fleas being on people's clothing and them being on boats. The end!
Why is the flash on?
The Dark Ages is a term.
Children had a 50% survival rate.